Welcome to the Happy, Healthy Life Podcast with your hosts, Rob and Randy, who reveal the truth, the lies, and confusion about health so that you are no longer the victim to mainstream medical dogma and you are the hero to your own happy, healthy story.
Hello and welcome back to the Happy, Healthy Life Podcast with your host, Rob and
Randy.
And we are
The Happy, Healthy Guys.
All right, welcome back. This is going to be a great episode. This is part 2 of our trip to Sardinia. Let's go and start this by asking some questions. What if the real secret to living to 100 wasn't just about what you eat or how much you move? But what if it was more about what you do with the life that you have?
Good question. So last week we did share how movement and food shape longevity, but today we are diving into what truly blew our minds, the power of community, celebration, tradition, and yes, even pig lard, and even drinking local wine out of a water bottle.
Yeah, we're going to talk about how we dance like 12-year-olds, hiked the mountains with a living legend named Giovanni, and learned how Sardinians use plants for medicine and turn fat, specifically pig lard, into fuel.
No question. So this isn't just about living longer, it's about living better. So get ready to laugh, reflect, and maybe rethink your next meal, because this episode is packed with wisdom from people who are thriving into their 90s and beyond.
So let's travel back to Sardinia.
Let's do it.
With part 2. So I think in the last episode where we left off was we were talking about how we had met Luciana, we had met Massimo, we were on the goat farm, we met the shepherd. In fact, I had more of that pecorino cheese last night with some Manuka honey, which was
cheap cheese.
Absolutely incredible. Today we're going to talk about what happened after that adventure. So we left off. We were at Massimo's place. His place is called Formaggio di Centenarians. I don't know if I said that right, but that was a mouthful.
I know the formaggio part because I know that's cheese.
Cheese of the centenarians.
Yeah, cheese of the centenarians. And definitely if all that saturated fat from the cheese and those short chain fats cause heart disease, Massimo should not be alive.
No, so we're there, and we were gonna go have dinner at a place that our guide Claudio. Shout out to Claudio, he's amazing. If we're gonna put this in the show notes, if you guys ever want to go to Sardinia and really be able to understand what Sardinia is all about, you gotta work with Claudio and have him take you around. But he had scheduled an experience for us so that we could be able to go have dinner at a friend of his who's a chef in the area, and she had been featured on a show that Zac Efron did on Netflix. And so that's what we were going to do. And then he lets us know, he's like, you know what, Massimo is really taken to you guys, and he wants to invite you guys to come to a celebration that they do once a year, every year in this village of Seulo. And it's put on by June 24th, in celebration of St. John the Baptist. And it happened to fall on the exact day that we were there. And so he was saying how they were going to be preparing goat and sheep for the entire village, he and the rest of the sheep herders there, and wanted to know if we wanted to join them for dinner. In other words, us join 700 other people of the village. So it didn't take long for us to answer that question with an absolutely yes. When in Rome, or when in Sardinia.
When in Sardinia.
You do as the Sardinians do.
Yep.
And so that's what we did. And so we went home, got ready, and then went to the actual village of Seulo itself. And there was, we walked up, and there was just rows and rows and rows of tables getting ready for this celebration. And as we walked in, Claudio said, "You guys got to take a look at this." And so there was a bunch of guys sitting around. These are the shepherds that are there, and
which really are the leaders of the community.
They're the leaders of the community. It's not the police. It's those guys. And so we walk around the corner, and what did we see?
Well, it was mind-blowing. The shepherds they brought all of the lamb and the goat meat, and it was literally just being cooked in this open fire pit area out basically right around the corner from where all the tables were set up. And you've got all these elders and leaders and shepherds all sitting here cooking the meat for the entire village. And I got to be honest, I didn't know what we were walking into, because how do you get that many people in a village to all want to come together and be a part of something like that? I didn't think it was really going to be, but it was probably over 500, maybe.
But they said it was about 500.
Yeah, 500 people. So, about what, 80% of the village is literally there at the event, and they're cooking up all of this meat, and it just smelled amazing. It was just incredible. And I was just salivating. I could not wait to eat this local lamb, this local goat meat. If you've never had, some of you I'm sure have had lamb meat, but if you've never had goat meat, and I know you have, because that actually is
That's
part of
cabrito.
yeah. The first time I ever had it was actually with you and your family in
Yeah.
San Antonio, but it was so tender, so delicious. And so, you get the meat, and then it's funny because you're sitting there at the table and they're bringing out all the meat, they're setting it on the table, and then I look over to my right and there's this big water bottle.
Well, it was okay. Let's back. We gotta back up before we even get to there.
Okay.
Before we even get to there, because so we walk in, Claudio's introducing us to all of these different people, and he's like, "Hey, if you're with Claudio, somehow, some way, he knows everybody, and he's always getting free beer." And so,
Yes.
so we're with him, and he's like, "Do you guys want beer?" And we look at, they've got all these tents set up. And he's like, this is what, so the kids of the village, they do a fundraiser, and the way they raise money
That's
for
right.
trips and things that they do is to sell alcohol or beer and wine to the adults. So these kids that are like, I don't know, maybe 12 to 15 years
Yeah,
old
yeah.
are pouring beer for the adults.
Yep.
And that would never ever fly here in the United States.
Okay.
But that's one of the things that I just loved about it, is it was really just about the community coming together and then helping these kids be able to raise money. The next thing I know, Massimo, who invited us to come, he's got a pitcher, he's pouring us beer. And it was around that time that Massimo and then in Claudio, they're like, you've got to meet this person. We have somebody to introduce you to. And they bring just this guy that was the
Well, you missed Antonio. We met him first.
no, it was Antonio that then told us about Giovanni. So
Exactly,
okay,
yeah.
so Antonio, this just vibrant human being, so full of life and full of energy. We started calling him the mayor. He wasn't actually the mayor of the village. However, he knew everyone there in the village. And we'll talk more about Antonio later, because he plays a huge role in the story. But Antonio is like, you've got to meet this gentleman over here. And he introduces us to Giovanni. So Giovanni is 90 years old, got the energy of a 13-year-old. No joke.
Seriously.
And we just started asking him questions about the secrets of the secrets of the centenarians, because he's been there for generations, and just starts talking about his family, talking about how he's worked this land his entire life, and he's always lived in this place.
Still works the
and,
land.
and still works the land. And one of the things, when we had asked him, and just even as a review from last week, is we're like, okay, what are some of the secrets of this? And one of the things that he talked about was movement. And he just starts talking about how movement is so important. He talked about even how, as a kid, if they were going to have a vegetable garden, for example, that they made sure that the vegetable garden was miles and miles away from where they lived, so that they could be able to walk all the way to that vegetable garden and then walk all the way back. So there was a sense of accomplishment, a sense of work. Instead of doing something for nothing, you were doing something and getting yourself stronger as you were doing it. So it goes back to the hormetic stress that we always talk about,
Right.
that you've got to challenge yourself in order to be able to grow. So that was one of the things that he talked about. And he talked about a lot of other things.
Yeah, but movement was key. In fact, they make their own wine there. We'll talk a little bit about that. And you're not buying bottles of wine. They make their own wine in their own tanks and barrels. So it's never getting to a bottle with chemicals and synthetic ingredients and coloring agents and a lot of the garbage they service here in America. but he won't even have his first glass of wine for the day until he walks all the way down to his favorite area and back, because that's a part of his reward. Is his movement really is a part of setting the reward center in his brain for doing something hard, and knowing that he's seen that play out for generations, how the history of his family were all people who worked the field, they worked the vineyards, they grew their own food, they grew their own, they slaughtered their own animals, and they moved and they walked through the mountains, and they got a lot of sun on their body. These are just key foundational principles. And you could see it in this guy. He honestly, he just didn't look 90 years old. He looked really probably closer to what, maybe 55 or 60. And obviously his energy and mobility was way younger. So it was just remarkable to see. But he was such a neat guy because he wanted to share, he wanted to connect, he wanted to talk. And remember, guys, we don't speak Sardinian. And in these villages, most people don't speak English. They only speak Sardinian. Yet it was weird how we were able to communicate with them and understand things, and we didn't even speak the language.
Didn't even speak the language.
Yeah.
It was just like you were like literally speaking, and I get goosebumps even thinking about it. Really, just speaking a language of love is really, it was just pure energy, pure love. And he's introducing us to his family members.
Yeah.
There were people in their family who had come all the way from Firenze, who had grown up there, and they come back every single year. So that's one of the, as far as the talking points today, one of the things that he talked about was the importance of community, and celebration. I think that's one of the things that we don't do enough, is just celebrating each other, not because you did something, just a celebration because you're breathing and because you're there. And one of the things that he kept on stressing over and over and over was just living a simple life without all of the distractions that we have. And it's interesting too, because a lot of the people that we were meeting there who had come back just for this one celebration and had gone off to live in some of the bigger cities, like one of the bigger cities there was Cagliari.
Yep.
And a lot of them, for whatever reason, go to Cagliari. And then they end up coming back. They don't like the complexity of the life in these bigger cities, and they end up coming back. And they're always, and if they didn't actually move back, they're always coming to visit. And I thought that was really cool. So we met Antonio, we met Giovanni, and then Giovanni's like, "Hey guys, it's time for us to go eat. We need to go eat." And then we get to these tables. So on the tables are some of the most beautiful little cherry tomatoes that I've ever seen in my entire life. They had bread on the tables that had been made that day, that morning. And then
they also had they had cooked their local potatoes as well. The potatoes, the local bread. And then, then they had, you had a bottle of water, and then you also had a bottle of wine. And these were, so it was like, they don't have bottled wine. They pour wine from their cellar into these bottles, and they would set it on the table. So you had Jesus's first miracle. The water turned to wine right there. So you're drinking the water, you got their local wine, their local foods, the lamb, you've got the goat meat, you've got the community. Everybody's laughing, dancing. I still struggle to this day with how disappointed I am in my effort to pick up that Sardinian dance. I was trying my best, but I was struggling to pick it up. But we're dancing, we're laughing, and there was a huge language barrier, yet it felt like we were able to communicate enough with the few people who were able to translate, and the energy and the smiles and just the community that we were a part of. And they brought us in as if we were part of their own. And that felt really, really good.
Hey there. Thank you so much for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. We appreciate it. Now, if you're somebody who's curious about your metabolism, how you're doing with your metabolism, go to metabolismscore.com, take the quiz, find out where you're at.
Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. And, we don't make a lot of products, but the products we do make are all metabolically focused. So go check these out. Go to thehappyhealthylife.com. And when you get to checkout, use code podcast to save 10% off any and all of our metabolic friendly products.
It did feel good, and it really changed me, and it changed me in this sense that I think a lot of times when even I just came from the coffee shop that we always talk about here called Buongiorno, and I think a lot of times even when I go into Buongiorno, and I think as just people that are so distracted and bombarded, we kind of I know for myself, I'll go into places like with blinders on, like, don't it? I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to see anybody right now. I've got work to do. I've got to do
Yeah.
this, and I've got to get from point A to point B.
Yeah.
But it really made me stop to go, hey, you know what? When I'm here, I'm open to being able to connect with other people. And just because of changing that one thing, since
Mhm.
being there in Sardinia, I have met so many new people at this coffee shop that we go to every single day that I hadn't met before that have also been going there forever as well. Even this morning, I shared a table with this man. He's like, "Yeah, I'm here every morning." I didn't even know who this guy was, but it was now being just open to this connection that that I got from being there in Sardinia. I think it's really how God has wired us for connection, right? If not, there wouldn't have never been an Adam or an Eve. God was doing his thing all by himself. So if he didn't want connection with us, he wouldn't have created us. And if he didn't want connection with us to be having with other people, he wouldn't have created more people. So,
One of the things I noticed too is, and this is something that changed in our country, at least where we live, when all the lockdowns happened with the scamdemic, when everybody was masked up and afraid of this imaginary virus, and nobody made eye contact anymore. Have you noticed that now? How people
now,
just don't make eye contact? They look down. They're so afraid. It feels like, and it's still lingering. And over there, everybody looked you in the eye and made eye contact and would greet you with their eyes. I love that because that's how I'm wired. That's how you're wired. That's how most normal people are wired. I just can't imagine that the village of Seulo was all masked up during the scamdemic and not making eye contact and not leaving their home. I can promise you that didn't happen.
yeah, that's what Giovanni said is one of the things that he loved about going to walk to go get, walk in order to be able to get his wine for the day is that he just loved walking through the village to be able to say hi to all of his friends. In fact, we met a girl that was there, Julia, who had met Giovanni while he was on one of
Yeah,
his walk.
yeah,
Julie was from Julia was from Portugal.
yeah.
She was traveling through Sardinia in a motorhome, and she stopped. Her motorhome had broken down, so she stops there in this village of Seulo. They, the people of the village, helped her to be able to fix it. Didn't charge her anything for it. The next thing you know, she ended up being there for like 6 weeks
Yeah,
now.
a long time.
And just they had taken her in. So we're at dinner and we're enjoying ourselves, and then Giovanni is like, "Hey, I got something that I want to show y'all tomorrow. Do you guys want to go on a hike tomorrow?" And
Yeah.
we're like, "Yeah,
There's a
absolutely."
one-legged duck swim in a circle.
We're like, "Yeah, absolutely."
Yeah.
So he's like, "Okay." So you're coming, and he's looking at other people on the table. Do you want to go? Do you want to go? Do you want to go? The next thing you know, we've got this whole group of people that are going to go on this hike, and it's like pretty late at night. And I'm like, "Are all these people actually
Not really going to
really
show
going to
up
show up?"
tomorrow. Yeah, yeah.
So 9 a.m. rolls around the next day, and we pull up to this parking lot, and there's like 15 people there,
Yeah.
kids, parents, everybody ready to go on this hike. And then we all got in our cars to go to this just magical, magical, magical place on this hike with Giovanni leading the way. And one of the things that he reminded us of is how, when we look at plants, what are plants really used for? It was just showing us, he would like pick up a plant, say, "Hey, smell this or sniff this." He's like, "This is what we use for this." So he really showed us how they used plants as medicine.
Yeah, a lot of times
And
you hear
yeah,
people say food is medicine, but that's actually not true. Plants
yeah,
are medicine, and all of these amazing plants that just grew indigenously
yeah.
over there in this part of the world. It was so cool to see, from barberry plant to helichrysum to even like myrtleberry. And then there was this, I don't even remember the name of that one plant. What was the one where you could smash it together in your hands and rub it together and then breathe it,
Oh
and
my
it would
gosh, it was
open up your
crazy.
sinuses, almost like it was magical. I couldn't even believe what I was witnessing. Do you remember the name of that
I don't
plant?
remember the name. I'd have to ask Claudio about
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
But
but
it was amazing.
yeah, but obviously, you know, Giovanni knew the history
Yeah.
of all of these plants and what their family had used for generations. They just aren't dependent. And we talked about this last episode. They aren't dependent on a broken Western medical model where you medicate all your symptoms with pharmaceutical drugs and go to doctors. They just don't really value and use much medical care over where they're living the longest, really, of anybody in the world.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good place for us to be able to pause. A lot of you don't even know, but we are launching two brand new products coming up here. We did a soft launch on it at the beginning of July, but the hard launch is going to be on August the 4th. And these two products are products that we've been working on now for probably 2 years.
Yeah.
And so one of the things and reasons we went to Sardinia was and you just talked about the barberry plant is indigenous there to Sardinia, and it's one of the main ingredients in these supplements. Let's talk about this for just a few minutes, but one of the supplements is called Crave Control GLP-1 activator. And then the other one is called Thermostat Burn Plus. We have a product called Thermostat. This Thermostat Burn Plus is unbelievable. So there really is a three-pronged approach to be able to helping people with their metabolism. So Dr. Randy, do you want to talk about what that three-pronged approach is? Because barberry does play a role in this.
Yeah, and we've seen this for years as we've traveled the world, looking at what are the three pathways where you'd want to target fat metabolism. Obviously, a lot of you know about our metabolism program, but there's really three strategies. One is you want to focus on thermogenesis, and that's really your body burning heat at a cellular level. And we've sourced compounds that help naturally create a thermogenic burn in your body. So you're going to burn more calories, create more heat at a cellular level. This is also helping as being a part of the detoxification process. Going back to what you said now, we're talking about like barberry and myrtleberry. You know, in fact, the myrtleberry was the main constituent in one of the drinks that they make that you drink after every one of your meals called mirto. And mirto was a digestive that's made from myrtleberry because of the impact it has on insulin sensitivity, just like barberry does. So they're using these herbs and these berries to create an insulin sensitive environment where your body takes up more glucose and burns more body fat. And they're not really doing it to burn more fat. It's just really a part of their culture and what they use. So we took a lot of what we've seen there and we combined it with other different types of herbs, some things we've even taken from Chinese medicine that work within the body to stimulate the natural production of GLP-1. GLP-1, it's kind of the hottest thing going right now with all these injections and medications, but you can't rob Peter to pay Paul. These drugs are big. They're a big problem. They're big trouble, and they're wrecking the health of so many people. There's going to be a nasty rebound as more of these drugs are put in the hands of more people and people try and get off these drugs. But the two strategies with using these type of a product is to optimize AMPK. It's an enzyme pathway in your body. It regulates all cellular metabolism. So whether your cells burn fat for energy or whether they burn glucose for energy, this helps regulate that. We've also paired it with autophagy support. So obviously autophagy is one of the most healing, powerful metabolic processes in the human body, where it gives your body a chance to break down old tissue and make new tissue, actually increase the production of stem cell. That's another strategy that needs to be employed with any fat metabolism program. And then lastly, we're using it for satiety. So a lot of the herbs we've sourced that go into the Crave Control help your body with satiety, feeling full, reducing sugar cravings. So from the thermogenesis to the AMPK and autophagy, along with the satiety, these two products work along those pathways. And then we put it together with the 10-day protocol, which is remarkable because it shows you how to implement this and really have the best metabolic result in just 10 days. It's pretty incredible what we've seen and what we've been working with. And so a lot of that was just organically born. Some of it was born out of a lot of research and looking at what's working and what's not. But it's cool when you go over to a place like Sardinia and you see that natural environment and you see a lot of these herbs and plants that people have been using for thousands of years that don't cause damage to your body, that actually work with your body. That's my kind of medicine.
Yeah, people there are not overweight.
No.
And so they're so incredibly healthy. So yeah, so when you buy and when you get those two products together, you get that 10-day protocol. So it is perfect for that person who really just feels like their metabolism has been stuck or it's been slowed down, or you've gotten older and it's felt like it's slowed down. This is a great way to be able to kickstart yourself in only 10 days.
Yeah.
And even and it's also for those people who, you know what, you're like, I really want to do the 8-week program, but I'm not ready for that yet. This is for you, or people who have done our program. You are at your ideal weight. And you're going, okay, what next? I'm at my ideal weight, but I want to make sure that I've got like that extra metabolic boost. It's perfect for you as well. I know I'm excited about it for myself. And a lot of times people are like, you know what? I don't want to do the whole 8 weeks. I don't need to do the whole 8 weeks, but you can do 10 days just to be able to reset your body's metabolism. So it's great for you for that. That's why we're so excited about this product. And it was really cool to be able to be on that hike and seeing ingredients that we have in our, in the product that actually come right from, just exactly how God put it there.
Yeah, and that's really why we've ever even started making products to begin with. It's not like the world needs more supplements, but our original product we developed, which a lot of you are in love with, is our SCT oil, our short chain triglyceride oil. It's the world's only short chain fatty acid oil. And that was born out of our time in Spain and looking to find a quality product, and it just didn't exist. So a part of our model and why we've developed products is we've always wished, hey, I wish there was a product like this, and it's never been there. So we decided, I guess we got to figure out how to make it. In fact, we'd met with a lady who's been working with our design of the new products, and she was asking us why we make our products. And I was explaining how our products are born out of a selfish desire to have a product that we've always wanted that doesn't exist. And then we make it for ourselves. And then we hope other people are going to want it. And she was really excited about working with us because she goes, that makes a lot of sense that you would make products that are in alignment with your own philosophical values and your metabolic approach to health. So remember, everything that we ever create and launch, it's really something that we want personally for ourselves, and we really believe is going to have the biggest bang for your buck.
Yep. So there you go. So we'll put the link in the show notes as well, so that you can be able to get that and be ready for that come August the 4th. So, all right, next talking point. So we finished the hike, and we talked about Antonio. Antonio's like, I heard you guys are coming to my place tomorrow for a snack. We're like, okay, great. So
a snack.
A snack.
A snack my butt.
So this guy is, and so he basically raises pigs, acorn fed Iberican pigs and ham there, and we'll talk about how it is that he does that. And so we're going to his place, and so we've got Giovanni with us, some of the other people that were with us, and we're walking through the village, and we meet up with Antonio. And so Antonio starts guiding us into a part of his home. And so we go down, and it's like it would basically be, imagine you're getting ready to go underground into like a wine cellar. Okay?
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
And so he says in Sardinian, he's like, you guys have probably heard of the Sistine Chapel. He goes, well, this isn't the Sistine Chapel. This is the pig chapel.
The chapel of the pig. Yeah. I was like, what I had zero idea. But when I say zero, no clue what we were walking into.
What we were walking into.
Yeah.
So we go down into this cellar, and there's just like, if you've ever been to like an Italian type of a deli or Spanish, and they've got the big legs of the ham or Iberican ham hanging. Well, there was hundreds of them hanging from the ceilings. It had just this delicious smoky flavor in there that I can't even describe.
Yeah.
To
nutty and oily
to give it justice.
Yeah, the flavor. I think the breed is called the Sumanali pig that grows there in Seulo. And what's crazy about this is we go in and you see this everywhere. and he had laid out and cut all these pieces of meat, the charcuterie essentially. I guess it's probably not the correct term, but
Charcuterie of all charcuterie.
it
I can
makes
never.
charcuteries obsolete now because the flavor of all of these different cuts and pieces of meat that he had, each one had its own story and own flavor profile, depending on what part of the pig that he pulled it from. And of course, my favorite of all was what's known as the head cheese.
Was not my favorite.
That was my favorite. If you know what head cheese is, it's all the parts of the pig that most people would throw away. So the ears and the nose and the face, it's got a lot of the collagen and the gelatin and the really rich flavor. In fact, my mom grew up, their whole family grew up because they rendered pig lard and had a hog farm. That was their favorite part. Granny would make the head cheese. And so I actually got to see the head cheese and try it. And it was by far my favorite, but every single cut of meat was beautifully done. It was such a precision and an art that Antonio had mastered.
Oh my gosh.
If you could find better quality local meat anywhere in the world, I would be shocked. What he has is just, you just can't find that anywhere.
You can't.
But that's just normal to them.
It is 100% normal. He's done it like his, like his father taught him, and his father's father taught them, and doing it exactly the same way. I think my favorite, and I didn't think this was going to be my favorite, but it was just a cut of just the lard itself, and that was it. It had like this salt around it, and it was it had like a little bit of like a little bit of a crunch, but it was just straight lard, and it was absolutely magical. And so,
which really, when we go back and look at the history of this area, they were telling us that, hogs, these type breed of pigs, this is what the centenarians lived off of. And then they came in and cut down all the forests. A lot of the hogs naturally moved out of the area, but now they're repopulating back. So the quality of the meat and the fat was beautiful. But here's the thing, guys, the longevity oil in Sardinia, it is not olive oil, it's lard. It's animal fat. Guys, animal fats, there isn't a better quality fat that you can eat and cook with than naturally raised animals and the fats within them. Remember, we're animals and we're made of animal fat. There's no way animal fats are dangerous for you. It's been vilified, and we've been told it causes heart disease. It just flies in the face of all of that crazy dogma that animal fats are the cause of heart disease. When you look at one of the original blue zones, and what they built their centenarian reputation off of is lard. Wow.
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. No seed oils, not one seed oil in sight. These people are healthy, they're vibrant, loving life. We spent the rest of the afternoon with them there, and then there was another group that came in that they were from Colombia, and they just we all had a wonderful experience. Again, it was all about connection. It was all about family, and it was cool just to be able to see the way these people live. They weren't living based off of a diet or even like any kind of like a diet protocol. This was just their lifestyle. And
eating
it was
local and seasonal.
Yeah, and it was local and seasonal, and lifestyle rooted in really just the soul and simplicity with that. And so it was really beautiful to be able to see that. And then and even after that, we went to another festival. Even after that, we learned about just the beauty of the energy of this island as well. We'll talk a little bit more about that on the next episode. I feel like there's going to be a part 3.
Yeah, there's still a lot to unpack.
Yeah, and then even the reintegration back into quote normal life in London, and then even after London, and things that we're taking that anybody can be able to do. That we learned from the centenarians. But we will be back every single year, and I'm thinking it'd be a great place for us to be able to have a retreat. So with today's episode, again, we talked about movement the last time. We talked about the community and connection, plants being medicine, and really
and sunlight too. That's a part of the movement. Just real quickly, that's one of the things they were talking about, was that's an area of the world where they get so many days of sunshine. And the sun, what they said was it heats the earth. And so the more sun hitting the earth, it heats it. And what that does, the gases and the air rises. And what it does, it takes any particulate matter that could accumulate in your lungs, and it takes it from the breathing area of the earth. So all of the sunlight on their body, the heat of the earth, and the removing of the particulate matter from the base of the earth into the atmosphere was a part of why they have cleaner air there as well, which is one of the reasons why, another reason why getting sun and having sun as a part of your lifestyle is so valuable. But that was so cool because I'd heard people talk about that before, and to hear them actually bring it up and talk about that, I was like, this is real. This is the real stuff. This is what they do. This is how you can live your best life. It's kind of the whole, allopathic model. If you look at the word allo, that means opposite. So allopathic medicine really tells you to do the opposite of everything we teach you. So the real flex is do the allo to the allo. Do the opposite of what they tell you. They say don't get sun, get sun. That is the true path to healing.
It reminds me of that, the Seinfeld episode where George Costanza just started doing the opposite.
Exactly.
And it was like he started like living the best life of, of his entire life. So do the opposite. So with that being said, that right there is going to conclude this episode of the Happy Healthy Life. Look for that new product launch that we've got coming out August 4th. Put it in the show notes. We'll also be back with you again, talking about part 3 of our adventure in Sardinia, Seulo, Italy, as well as into London. So thanks again for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. We'll see you again next time.
Yep. God bless you guys.
Thanks for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. If you enjoy the show, make sure to follow them on Instagram at the H2 Life or on YouTube and Facebook at the Happy Healthy Guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and review the show wherever you listen to podcasts.